Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let me get my hat on, and let's get this started. Alright, first question. Hey Jason, I'm currently having success with the linear progression recomp version of ICF 5x5, but I'm looking for a progression method I could use after finishing this program. What I'm pretty close to. When I might not be able to use linear progression, at least at the current pace anymore. So I was thinking about the Texas method, weekly linear progression, or some kind of auto-regulation like Steve Shaw's rep goal system. My primary goal is overall fitness and strength. You recently said that going 100% in the gym might be counterproductive. Would the rep goal system be too taxing, especially when you reach intermediate strength levels, where it's harder to recover from a 5 rep max set than at a novice strength level? Thanks. All right, interesting question. As far as Steve Shaw's rep goal system goes, I'm not going to get into any personal stuff going on here, but obviously Steve and I have had our own falling out. Don't want to get into that. I don't particularly care for him as a person anymore. Consider him to be more than a little two-faced, but my personal opinions of a person, this is the way people need to understand how things work on the internet. Personal opinion of someone doesn't mean that their information is bad. All right, you can think someone's the biggest asshole in the world, the biggest piece of shit. You can think they're the biggest liar. It doesn't mean that their information's not valid. You know, that's not a reflection of their knowledge. It's a reflection of their personality. So whatever I might think of Steve and certain two-facedness or whatever, his rep goal system actually seems to be pretty decent. It's not a bad system. It seems to be a successful system. Steve's a big, strong guy, particularly for his age. Now, would I say that his rep goal system, you need to be pushing that hard every single workout? No. As an intermediate, maybe 2 really hard workouts a week and then 1 lighter workout to where you back things down. That would probably be appropriate if you wanted to run something like his rep goal system. That would probably be a better choice. As far as the Texas method goes, intermediate lifter looking to gain strength first and size is a secondary goal. I think the Texas method is effective. It's proven. It's a time-proven system. A lot of athletes have run it over the years. A lot of athletes have run it very successfully. Now, I'm not saying you can't modify it a little bit to whatever your personal needs are, but as far as it being an effective system for what you're trying to do, once you finish my intermediate numbers, or you're up to, you know, the end of what I ask of people on the Ice Cream Fitness 5x5. I've also changed that to just the Jason Blaha Novice 5x5, but whatever. Yeah, the Texas method is absolutely a viable system to follow up with it on. That's why I don't have a lot of intermediate programs out there. I only have one because there's so many really, really good intermediate programs that I don't feel that me writing another one would be adding anything of value to the community. It's not like there aren't amazing ones already. So Texas method, absolutely give it my thumbs up for following up Ice Cream Fitness, even the recomp or cutting version. All right, next question. I'm not so sure if you answer these sort of questions anymore, but here it is. I've seen some videos on your recently discussing recovery. As someone who has run your intermediate strength and linear periodization program successfully, I have now hit weights where I have trouble recovering. 230 kilo deadlift, and people don't know that's about 508. 180 kilogram squat, that's about 390. 120 kilogram bench, again, that's what, about 270? Not bad. At 75 kilograms body weight. Now that's pretty good. This guy's weighing, what, about 180? Doing pretty good, brother. Would running a mild dosage of exogenous supplementation be at all beneficial to me, and how much is mild? My goal is just to be big and strong whilst having good sleep and a balanced diet. As far as advising you to go on gear, that's not anything that I advise anyone to do. That's a personal choice that you have to make. I'm going to recommend that if you decide to go that route, you spend at least 6 months researching it. All right, and I do mean that I tell people if they're going to go mess with that stuff at all, I recommend, first of all, you be at least 21 years old. I recommend that you weigh out the pros and cons, whether they're health, whether they're legal, whether they're financial. You need to weigh that stuff out for yourself. And I recommend a minimum of 6 months of research. There's a lot of good resources online. And a lot of them, there is resources by medical doctors out there on this stuff, like Dr. Michael Scally. there's information available. I recommend you spend 6 months researching, before you do anything, before you make that decision or not. And most guys who spend 6 months researching are honestly probably going to do it. But I don't recommend that you do it blind or without research. And as far as what is effective for recovery, if you're just trying to use gear to recover, you're not using it for purely just to put muscle on you, because that's what you need to remember. The stuff will put muscle on you without training. Proven medical fact. Proven medical fact, not even subject to debate. You will gain muscle on gear even if you lay on your ass eating Cheetos all day. All right? Proven medical fact. Anyone who argues with that hasn't looked at the data. But if you're trying to use it just to enhance recovery, like 250 milligrams of test a week will increase your recovery by a pretty massive margin. That's more than I currently use. So just to give you an idea there. But that's generally 200 to 250 is usually recovery purposes. That's what people go with. People who are looking to get really big obviously use a lot more. All right, next question. Jason, at first I would like to thank you for all of your novice program. I have the best results ever on it. My question is this. My best squats are 126 kilograms for 5x5 today. All right, we're getting pretty good there. That's getting close to 300 pounds for 5x5. 90 kilogram bench for 5x5, about 200 pounds. Overhead press 60 kilograms for 5x5. Barbell rows 93 5x5. Deadlift 147.5 for 5. Single 5 rep set. Today I tried to deadlift 150 kilograms for 5 and failed. Did only 3 reps. What's the problem? Since I started the program, I've added only 2 kilograms every time I completed 5x5 because I can't add exactly 2.27. I can add 2 kilograms or 2.5. So recently, because I saw my deadlift is far behind, decided to add the 2.5 kilograms moving forward. Why does it suck? Please help me, man. Cheers. All right, brother. The deadlift is hard to recover from. Making big jumps on the deadlift is difficult. And in your case, you're probably reaching a bit of a stall on your deadlift. All right, that's what's happening there. And honestly, your deadlift's not that far behind. I mean, 147 for 5, when I expect people on the program, ideally on the program, about 180, 185 for 5 reps. And I understand that you're like, well, I'm really, really close. You know, you're saying like 140 kilograms on the squat. Well, I'm sitting here at like 126. Is it 126? Let's see what he said. Yeah, so you're 14 kilograms away, and you're sitting here going, but I'm 22 and a half kilos away, or is it, I'm sorry, 32 and a half. Yeah, you're sitting there with that and 10 kilos away on the bench. No, your deadlift's not lagging that far behind. It's just that maybe you're not built to deadlift, or maybe I have people focusing so much on the other stuff with all the volume that your deadlift's struggling a little bit due to the total workload of the program. If you are worried about your deadlift a little bit, I wouldn't worry about it, because I mean you're getting really close to hitting my numbers on 2/3 of the big lifts. In fact, your rows and your overhead press are getting right up there on the edge of the program too. The only thing that's behind is your deadlift. You got to remember, this is a very, very high volume program. Sometimes it doesn't leave a lot of recovery for your deadlift. What I'm going to recommend, since you failed like that, go ahead and deload your deadlift. In fact, if you want to progress more on the deadlift, what you could do for about a month, scale the entire program back to the cutting version of the program. Run the 3x5, leave all your weights where they are. All right, whatever you've been doing for 5x5 on all your other exercises, do 3 sets of 5 with the same weight, and then focus on your deadlift. So you need to decrease the deadlift by 10% and then ramp it back up, and spend an entire month doing the cutting version without progressing in the other lifts, and then hammer your deadlift. You do your deadlift that way for 4 to 6 weeks, it will probably catch back up. It's that you're getting near the end of the program, you're putting a lot of workload on your body, you're struggling with overall recovery, and your deadlift starting to lag behind is the first sign that you're starting to overreach. So it's time to back everything down a little bit. If you're really worried about the deadlift, then you can do that to put a little more focus on the deadlift, so you can sort that out. But you need to understand that's perfectly normal. When you get into a program like this, it puts a lot of focus for novices on several big lifts. You're getting very close to the end of the program. This program, you're getting on that bleeding edge to where the program is not going to work for you anymore. It's just too much tonnage, too much progression it's time to accept that and understand that maybe your deadlift is the one lift that's lagging. It's common for someone to have one or two lagging lifts when you're focusing on that many big lifts. It's perfectly normal for that to happen. In this case, it's your deadlift. And again, not surprising because the deadlift is the hardest of the exercises. It hammers your recovery the most. It's most sensitive to your recovery. And you're putting a lot of tonnage on your body. So time to back everything down a notch. Again, 4 to 6 weeks of focusing on the deadlift. Get it caught up a little bit. Then return back to the normal version of the program and finish it out. But you're about to reach the point to where you need to move on to a true intermediate program. This, my novice 5x5, you're at that threshold of where it's not really going to work for you anymore. You're not going to get but about 5% stronger on all your lifts other than maybe the deadlift before the program just becomes too much for you to handle and it's time to move on to an intermediate program. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.